Welcome back to the channel, where history, money, and American legacy come alive. Today we're diving into the Liberty United States of America dollar, exploring the powerful stories behind legendary leaders like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and James Buchanan, and the iconic $1 that shaped the nation. From the birth of American freedom to the symbols of liberty stamped in metal, this video uncovers the history of the U.S. dollar, rare coin facts, and the meaning behind America's most famous presidents on currency. Whether you're a coin collector, history lover, or curious about American dollar value and design, you're in the right place. Stay tuned as we reveal fascinating details, hidden symbolism, and why these U.S. Liberty coins and dollar bills continue to inspire collectors worldwide. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful stories of American money and history. The story of the so-called James Buchanan $1 coin from the years 1857 to 1861 is one of the most mysterious and misunderstood tales in American coin lore, and that mystery is exactly what has fueled endless rumors of unimaginable wealth. Collectors whisper about a silver dollar tied to the 15th President of the United States, a coin believed to carry secret origins, experimental strikes, and a value so high that it could change a life overnight. The very mention of James Buchanan and a $1 coin instantly ignites curiosity because this era sits at the edge of political tension, financial uncertainty, and the coming storm of the Civil War. James Buchanan served as president from 1857 to 1861, a period when the United States Mint was still producing classic silver coinage. But here's where legend and reality collide. During Buchanan's lifetime, the U.S. Mint did not officially release a circulating $1 coin bearing his portrait. That single fact alone is what makes the rumor so powerful. When something is not supposed to exist, it becomes a perfect ground for myths, secret patterns, and experimental strikes said to have been created behind closed doors for testing, presentation, or political symbolism. The claim that such a coin carries a P mint mark adds even more intrigue, because the Philadelphia Mint did not use the P mint mark on coins during that era. This detail transforms the story from ordinary numismatics into a tale of forbidden metal, an object allegedly produced outside official records. In collecting circles, coins that exist beyond documentation, pattern coins, trial strikes, or private mint issues are the very pieces that can command prices in the millions if proven authentic. The silver content associated with this legendary coin further fuels its appeal. Silver in the mid-19th century was not just metal. It was power, trust, and economic stability. Any large silver dollar linked to presidential history would instantly become more than currency. It would become a historical artifact. The idea that such a coin survived wars, melting orders, and economic collapses only adds to its almost mythical status. What truly drives the overnight billionaire narrative is the psychology of rarity. In coin collecting, value is not created by age alone, but by scarcity, story, and verification. A single confirmed example of an undocumented presidential silver dollar from the Buchanan era would rewrite numismatic history. Auction houses would compete, museums would fight for ownership, and private collectors would push bids into territory that ordinary people can barely imagine. However, this is where wisdom becomes more valuable than excitement. Many coins claimed to be James Buchanan dollars are misidentified metals, fantasy pieces, modern replicas, or altered silver rounds designed to look old. These items may still have silver value, but they do not possess the historical legitimacy required to reach million-dollar status. The true danger is selling belief instead of evidence, which is why patience and expert authentication are everything. Yet, the legend itself is not meaningless. Throughout American history, genuine pattern coins and experimental strikes have surfaced decades, or even centuries, after their creation. Some were unknown to scholars until a single specimen appeared from a private estate. That reality keeps hope alive and keeps collectors searching, examining, and questioning every unusual coin that surfaces. If someone truly believes they possess a coin from this category, the worst mistake they can make is rushing to sell it cheaply. A coin tied to a presidential era, struck in silver, and lacking official records must be handled with extreme caution. Proper grading, metallurgical testing, and authentication by top experts are the only paths to truth. Without proof, it is only a story. With proof, it becomes history. The power of the story lies not just in money, but in imagination. Coins are time capsules, and the idea that one could carry the untold legacy of forgotten experiment from America's most fragile years is irresistible. Whether the Buchanan silver dollar exists as fact or legend, it reminds us that history still hides secrets in metal, waiting for the right hands to uncover them. In the end, the James Buchanan $1 coin from 1857 to 1861 stands as a symbol of how myths are born in the world of rare coins. Some myths fade, some are exposed, and a few shock the world when proven real. Until undeniable evidence appears, this coin remains one of the most fascinating legends in American numismatics. A reminder that sometimes a real treasure is not just coin, but the story it carries. The George Washington $1 coin, purportedly from 1789 to 1797, with a mint mark P, is one of those tantalizing legends that gets collectors' hearts racing, imagination soaring, and wallets trembling. Imagine a silver dollar bearing the first president's face from the earliest days of the United States. A coin so rare and priceless that just a whisper of its existence sends shockwaves through the numismatic world. But here's the captivating truth. Such a coin, as described in the legend, doesn't exist in official U.S. mint records. Yet that very mystery is part of why the tale has become legendary, stirring dreams of unimaginable worth and billionaire destiny overnight. Picture this. It's 1797. The young republic is still finding its feet, and someone, by some twist of fate, struck a silver dollar featuring George Washington. In reality, the U.S. Mint didn't produce silver dollars with Washington's portrait until much later, long after his death. During the 1790s, the only widely recognized silver dollars were the flowing hair and draped bust designs, and none officially depicted Washington. So the idea of a 1789 to 1797 Washington dollar from the Philadelphia Mint P stands as a kind of numismatic unicorn. Rare, bewildering, and wildly coveted by dreamers. That's not to say the desire for such a coin is baseless. Numismatists, collectors of coins, know that extreme rarity drives astronomical value. There are real historical coins from early U.S. mints that have fetched millions at auction. Rare varieties, presentation pieces, coins with unique errors, and pieces of significant provenance. A genuine, verified early silver dollar from the 18th century in pristine condition can command heart-stopping prices. But a Washington dollar from 1789 to 1797? That lives in the realm of myth, whispered about at collector shows and online forums. The legend often describes this phantom coin as having an unimaginable worth in the millions, capable of turning its owner into a billionaire overnight. That's the kind of language that grabs attention. Don't spend it at a low price, fortune changer, sleep on a mattress of gold. It reads like a treasure map scrawled in firelight. But real collectors will caution. Without verifiable mint records, authenticated specimens, and expert grading, a coin's value is purely speculative, no matter how gripping the story. Still, just imagine, stumbling upon such a piece in your grandfather's attic, wrapped in faded cloth. The weight of the silver, the delicate engraving of Washington's profile, the date barely visible under centuries of tarnish. The heart would pound, the mind would race. Could this be the one? Could this single artifact truly change your life forever? That's the emotional lure that keeps this story alive, even if the factual basis is shaky. Real numismatic treasure tales aren't just about monetary value. They're about history, mystery, and human longing. Every rare coin that does command millions has a story. Where was it found? Who touched it? What events did it witness? In contrast, the Washington dollar myth taps into our hunger for discovery. The sense that somewhere just out of sight lies a piece of history waiting to catapult someone into legend. Collectors are a passionate breed. They study die varieties, track provenance chains, and debate market trends with the intensity of scholars poring over ancient manuscripts. For them, the idea of uncovering a previously unknown 18th century Washington dollar isn't just about the money. It's about rewriting a chapter of American numismatic history. That's powerful stuff. It fuels forums, auctions, and late-night discussions over flickering screen light. But here's the sobering paradox. The more unbelievable a treasure sounds, the more likely it's a legend rather than a documented reality. True rarities have documented pedigrees. They appear in auction catalogs, museum collections, and certified grading services. The mythic Washington dollar from 1789 to 1797 lacks that chain of evidence. Yet, paradoxically, that very absence makes the tale more alluring, like a half-remembered dream of gold at the end of a rainbow. So if someone tells you they have such a coin, approach with both wonder and skepticism. Feel the thrill of the possibility. Every great discovery begins with a spark of imagination, but demand authentication from reputable experts. In the world of rare coins, value isn't decided by legend or hype. It's earned through verifiable history, condition, and collector demand. Without that, even the most fascinating story can remain just that, a story. Ultimately, the legend of the Washington silver dollar lives. Because we want it to, it captures a dream that an ordinary life can pivot in a single moment. That buried treasure might be real. That fate might smile on us where we least expect it. That's the magic of numismatics. It connects us to history, ignites our curiosity, and dares us to imagine that the next great discovery could be just around the corner. There was never an official United States gold dollar coin issued between 1801 and 1809 featuring Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson wasn't placed on U.S. coinage until much later. He appears on the nickel and, in modern times, on presidential dollars starting in 2007. Early U.S. silver dollars from that era were drape bust and later Gobret designs, with no Jefferson portrait. So if you've heard of an 1801 to 1809 Jefferson silver dollar, it's either a fantasy item, a modern novelty, an altered coin, known as a hoax coin, or simply a legend that has grown in collector lore. But let's imagine for a moment that such a coin did exist. A rare early 19th century silver dollar engraved with the face of Thomas Jefferson, struck in limited numbers, and whispered about in collectors' circles as a holy grail of American numismatics. In that world, the story you're telling makes sense. A coin so rare and powerful that only it could change someone's life overnight. So below is an engaging, imaginative, and richly worded narrative, rooted in real numismatic principles, to capture the excitement and value collectors wish such a coin had. In the dusty corridors of numismatic legend, there are few treasures as whispered about with awe and reverence as the mythical 1801 to 1809 Thomas Jefferson silver dollar, a coin so elusive that even the most veteran collectors speak of it in hushed tones. Imagine a piece of pure, gleaming silver, struck more than 2 centuries ago, bearing the serene visage of one of America's greatest founding fathers. To hold such a coin would be to clasp history itself between your fingertips, feeling the weight of centuries and the breath of stories untold. The allure of this imagined silver dollar lies not just in its face value, but in its symbolic power, a silent testament to an era of fierce independence, fierce ideals, and the raw birth of a nation. In the world of coins, age matters, but rarity reigns supreme. A hypothetical Jefferson dollar from the early 1800s would be the unicorn among Morgan silver dollars, the Hope diamond among collector gems. Something almost unheard of, whispered about but almost never seen. Those fortunate enough to claim even a glimpse of this legend speak not of dollar value, but the electric shock of realization that such a find could transform a life. For a genuine 1801 to 1809 Jefferson silver dollar, had it ever been struck in limited test runs or experimental dice sets, could shatter all existing auction records. Even in theoretical value, collectors would place a premium on provenance, on unbroken chains of ownership, on the unmistakable patina that only centuries can gift to silver. In the fevered imagination of the coin world, this mythical piece transcends ordinary valuations. No longer is it about hundreds of thousands. It is about millions, tens of millions, perhaps even enough to propel a humble owner into billionaire stratospheres overnight. The drama of such a transformation, from common to extraordinary, is woven into every tale told by collectors around the world. Legends like this are the fuel that drives late-night bidding, passionate debates, and whispered rumors at coin shows. Picture the moment. A collector, hands trembling, unwraps a tiny safety deposit package. There, wrapped in tissue, lies the silver glint of something that shouldn't exist. On $1,805 with Jefferson's face, crisp in relief, untouched by the decades. The room goes still. A gasp, then another, because in that instant, history and fantasy have collided, and sheer wonder fills the air. Of course, serious numismatists, The scholars and experts who spend lifetimes studying mint records, die varieties, and historical archives will remind you that no such authorized U.S. coin ever rolled off the Philadelphia mint presses in that era with Jefferson's image. Yet even they cannot deny the power of myth in the collector's imagination. There are rare, early dollars, draped busts, Gobrecht, that fetch eye-watering sums. An 1804 silver dollar, for example, exists only in a handful of specimens and commands multi-million dollar prices. That's the kind of precedent that makes people dream of even more spectacular rarities. And here's where fantasy touches reality. The world of coins has seen error pieces, pattern strikes, and experimental metals that blur the line between official issues and collector treasures. Some pattern coins, prototypes never released for circulation, are worth fortunes because they are unique, beautiful, and historically significant. The imagination of a collector could easily graft Jefferson's face onto such a story, creating a legend that tantalizes the heart as much as any gold bar. In the end, the story of the 1801 to 1809 Jefferson silver dollar is as much about human desire as it is about metal and minting. We treasure coins not merely for their composition, but for their narrative, the history they represent, the mystery they embody, the dreams they stir. Whether real or rumored, such a piece captures the soaring ambition of collectors everywhere to find something that rewrites the known history of numismatics and changes their fortune forever. So if you believe you possess this mythical silver dollar, cherish it with the passion of a dreamer. Research it rigorously. Consult experts. Unravel its true story. Because even if it turns out not to be the multi-million-dollar phantom of legend, the journey to discover its true worth, both historical and personal, could be the richest adventure of all. Abraham Lincoln $1 coin dated 1861 to 1865 lives in the shadowy space between history, legend, and collector imagination, and that mystery is exactly what makes it so powerful. These years marked the blood-stained heart of the American Civil War, the moment when the United States was nearly torn apart and Lincoln stood as the symbol of unity, sacrifice, and resolve. Any coin imagined from this era carrying his image is instantly wrapped in emotion, patriotism, and historic gravity. That is why collectors whisper about it as if it were a forbidden relic. Something not meant for ordinary hands, something capable of changing a life overnight. Here's the truth that makes the legend even stronger. No officially released United States $1 coin bearing Abraham Lincoln exists from 1861 to 1865. During those years, Lincoln was alive and serving as president, and U.S. coinage traditions of the time did not place living persons on circulating coins. Yet legends grow precisely where facts end. Stories persist of experimental strikes, private mint patterns, prototype pieces, or presentation metals that resemble a dollar coin, struck in silver, bearing Lincoln's portrait and quietly marked with a P, said to represent Philadelphia. Whether born from misidentified patterns, altered coins, or pure myth, the idea refuses to die, and that refusal fuels unimaginable value. What makes this supposed coin so intoxicating is the timing. A silver dollar connected to the Civil War era, tied directly to Abraham Lincoln, would represent more than money. It would be a physical witness to history. Collectors do not merely chase metal, they chase moments. A piece linked to the Emancipation Proclamation, the preservation of the Union, and Lincoln's assassination would sit at the very top of American numismatic desire. If such a coin were ever proven authentic, unique, and period correct, its value would not be counted in thousands or even millions, but in legacy-level wealth. The whispers often describe the coin as silver, heavy in the hand, with a solemn portrait of Lincoln that looks nothing like modern designs. The face is said to be stern, almost tired, reflecting the burden of war, while the reverse allegedly carries a simple liberty-inspired motif rather than the familiar eagle. These descriptions change from story to story, which only deepens a mystery. In the world of elite collectors, inconsistency does not always kill value. Sometimes it creates obsession. The fewer confirmed details, the more powerful the imagination becomes. The idea of a mint-marked P adds another layer of intrigue. Philadelphia was the heart of U.S. coin production during the Civil War, and the thought that a single experimental or presentation strike could have slipped into history without public record drives collectors wild. If such a coin existed, whether as a pattern, a political keepsake, or a privately commissioned strike. It would instantly become one of the most hunted artifacts in American numismatics. Not because it was meant for circulation, but because it was never meant to be seen. This is where fortunes are made or destroyed. People dream that such a coin could be sitting unnoticed in an old family collection, mislabeled, inherited, or hidden away for generations. The fantasy is powerful, a single discovery transforming an ordinary person into a legend overnight. That dream fuels auctions, investigations, and endless debate. And while most claims collapse under scrutiny, the possibility, however small, keeps the fire alive. In the collector world, hope itself has value. But here is the most important truth, the one that protects you from losing everything. Never rush, never sell cheaply, and never believe instant promises. Any object claimed to be an 1861 to 1865 Abraham Lincoln $1 silver coin will require the highest level of examination, patience, and skepticism. True wealth is not found in panic or excitement, but in knowledge and control. History rewards those who move slowly and think deeply. Even as a legend, this coin teaches something profound. It reminds us how deeply people connect money with memory and metal with meaning. Abraham Lincoln does not need to be on a dollar coin from the Civil War to be priceless. His legacy already is. That is why myths attach themselves to his name, why value explodes around even the idea of his image struck in silver during America's darkest hours. So if you ever encounter a coin claimed to be this impossible relic, treat it not as quick cash, but as a question mark carved in metal. Its real power lies not just in what it might be worth, but in what it represents. The dream that history can still reach forward through time and place unimaginable fortune into the hands of the patient. Legends like this do not make everyone rich, but they ensure that the search for history never truly ends.